Bob got out of his car and sauntered to his destination. The past few days had been harrowing for him, and tons of regrets have been running through his mind ever since the incident. He took a deep breath and thought back to the past few years of his life as he walked through the green grass. Bob and Nancy got married in their 20s, and for years they both focused on their careers. They were fresh out of college and needed all the money they could get to start their lives. Therefore, children were put on the back burner. But as more time went by, Bob thought that having kids was a waste of time and money. Meanwhile, Nancy truly wanted them, so they started trying for a baby in their 30s, but nothing seemed to work. They saw a specialist for Nancy who set her up with all sorts of fertility medication, but they still didn't work. Bob started to worry that he might be the problem in this situation, but he didn't want to see a specialist for himself. It wasn't about his pride. The more they tried and failed for a child, the less he wanted one. He started reading things about families who remained child-free and considered that option for himself. They were wealthy and could do anything they wanted. A kid would be a nuisance. However, Nancy wanted to be a mother more than anything. She would stop at baby and toy stores they walked by and tell him, "Wouldn't it be fun to play football in our yard with our kid?" And Bob would barely hum when she said things like that. Sure enough, Nancy got tired of being ignored and never talked about it again. Bob thought she might have finally come around to being a childless couple, but he was wrong. At some point, Nancy started coming home late from work and Bob was suspicious. She never did that, even during the most trying times of her career in her 20s. She was settled at work and had a significant position in her company, so Bob was sure that she was cheating on him and preparing to leave. That's what led to the most terrible night of his life. Nancy had just arrived home after another late night and Bob was done with it. "Where the hell have you been?" he yelled at her as soon as she walked in. She was taken aback by his attitude. "What do you mean? I was at work." "That's a lie. Tell me the truth." "What? I'm not lying," Nancy said, but her eyes turned to the side and Bob noticed her hesitation. "What are you hiding from me?" he shouted, making her flinch. "Stop yelling, Bob. I'm not doing anything wrong," she started. But Bob was so angry he didn't want to hear anything else. "How could you, you horrible woman? I can't believe after all these years you would go off like a floozy and find a man to give you kids." Hearing Bob utter those terrible words, Nancy finally had enough. "I will not tolerate you insulting me in my own home," she yelled back. "And I will not tolerate a cheating wife." Nancy frowned and she stormed out of the house. "Where are you going? Come back, we're not finished here." "I'll come back when you calm down," she countered, getting into her car and driving off. That was the last time Bob saw Nancy alive. She died in a car accident that night, and now he was visiting her gravesite with all his regrets still sitting heavy in his heart. He could have done so much and been different. He shouldn't have thrown those accusations at her, but he had no other explanation, and now he would never know the truth. He approached her tombstone but stopped in his tracks when he saw a little boy sitting in front of the grass talking to him. A few feet away, he saw two adults watching the kid, waiting for him to be done. Bob didn't understand what was going on, so he walked toward the kid. The child looked up when he noticed someone else, and Bob hesitantly greeted him. "Hey kid, what are you doing here?" The child pursed his lips for a second and looked back at the tombstone. "This is my mom." Bob's eyebrows rose and he almost fell back, but he composed himself and asked, "Really? Because that's my wife and we didn't have any kids, I think," he added, trying to make his words sound humorous. The kid looked up and continued, "Well, she said she was going to adopt me soon and she told me I was going to have a daddy too." Finally, Bob noticed the two adults who had been a few feet away approaching. "Hello, sir. Are you Bob Macklin?" one of them asked. "Yes, I am," he answered, still confused. "It's nice to meet you, sir. We work at the local orphanage. I'm Sarah and this is Stanley." Nancy Macklin had been visiting Kurt for several weeks before she died. She told us her intention to adopt him, but she always said that her husband wasn't convinced yet. Sarah explained and everything finally clicked for Bob. Nancy was never cheating on him. She was visiting a boy at the orphanage in their town in Oregon looking to adopt him. He was shocked, but this was better than thinking she'd been unfaithful to their marriage. Still, she should have told him. "I wasn't aware of what she was doing," Bob revealed, surprising the orphanage workers. "Oh, I see. Well, we heard about her death and it was hard to explain everything to Kurt, so we brought him here. I hope that's all right," the woman continued. "My deepest condolences, sir." Bob thanked her and watched the boy talking to his wife. After a few minutes, he came to an important decision that he hoped would honor his wife and make up for his actions on the day she died. With the help of Sarah, he started visiting Kurt himself, and the kid was excited to tell him all about his visits with Nancy. Soon enough, they approved him as a foster parent for Kurt, and years later, he was able to adopt him officially.